When you see a headline like this in a normal situation, it tends to make your eyes roll. When you see it in reference to a movie like this, where too much has been revealed already, that's the point where exhaustion starts to set in. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I don't think I ever remember a situation surrounding one movie where we are consistently given something to react to or discuss on almost a daily basis. It's mind-boggling. I know people like to run with the narrative that you can't fully judge a movie until you've actually seen it, and in most cases I agree. But with as much information that's come out about this movie already, I'm starting to kind of feel like I have seen the movie.
Something very familiar about all this.
I need to ask a simple question. At what point did a majority of movies stop being able to speak for themselves? Is it because audiences have become dumbed down? Is it because media literacy is sketchy these days? I understand the urge to spoon feed everything to your audience or your potential audience. But at what point is that just enabling laziness? I came across this article from the New York Post that is titled, James Gunn Politicizes Upcoming Superman Movie. Says bloodied hero represents our country. Now, I'm not so naive to not be able to recognize that we currently find ourselves in one of the most contentious times in human history. Believe me, I understand that better than anyone. I can't even give my opinion on something as non-consequential as a movie without people getting upset.
S-O-F capital T, soft, huh?
However, if we're talking track record, modern Hollywood doesn't have a great one when it comes to addressing social or political issues in organic ways in films. Modern filmmakers tend to approach these subjects in a one-sided and divisive way that just doesn't resonate with a lot of people. And that's not to say that it can't be done, but it's all about the execution. So the question is, as always, will it be heavy-handed and preachy, or will it be subtle? Great filmmakers put messages in movies in a way that allows the audience to decide if they want to see a deeper meaning or not. When you overtly reveal your message outside of the film, it is a massive red flag and cause for concern. If you have to explain to your audience what the message of your film is, then there's a good chance you didn't do your job as a storyteller. Or maybe you just are not confident in your work or the mental capacity of the audience you are trying to reach.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well.
Let's put it this way. You can watch The Shining and see a straightforward horror movie where a guy goes crazy and tries to kill his family. Or if you chose to dig a little deeper as a viewer, you could find hidden messaging that would suggest the film is about the genocide of American Indians. But that right there is the point. It was left up to interpretation. Imagine if Stanley Kubrick came out before The Shining was released and said, just so everyone knows, this whole movie is a metaphor for me faking the moon landing. Now, wouldn't that make that film considerably less interesting if you went into it looking for that, or under the impression that that's what it's about? This is a mistake that a lot of modern filmmakers make, and it does negatively impact the way that some people see their films. In this article, it is revealed that during a recent Q&A session at the trailer's premiere, James Gunn acknowledged the political implications present in the film, saying that there is a theme of a bruised and bloodied America running through it. The filmmaker says that the battered-looking version of Superman seen in the trailer for his film represents America.
Message!
Now, this would once again seem to contradict the optimistic approach that Gunn and the studio say that they are taking. In fact, it sounds quite pessimistic to say that this is meant to signify an America that is in shambles. But you have to wonder, with how ugly things are in the world, is it possible that some members of the audience don't want to think about those issues when they go to watch a Superman movie? They simply just want to escape from those issues. And even if this message was in there, but you didn't blatantly come out and say it and left it open to interpretation, it would most likely get a better reaction. Now, I understand that the purpose of the film will most likely be to rebuild Superman and restore optimism in hopes of creating an inspiring parallel with America itself, and I get that. But as I stated earlier in the video, execution is everything. And this is a very fine line that he is choosing to walk on for someone who is trying to win over a very large audience.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Gunn said that the shocking images of our hero are a reference to an America that still stands for goodness, despite what he called the current bloodied and beat up state, saying, quote, "I believe in the goodness of human beings, and I believe that most people in this country, despite ideological beliefs, their politics, are doing their best to get by and be good people, despite what it may seem like to the other side."
He's out of line, but he's right.
Now, I appreciate what he's saying here in his effort to appeal to all different kinds of people, and I do think that the world would benefit from that type of message. But as always, the question is not about the message itself, but how it is being delivered. That's the aspect to this that some people don't seem to understand and undervalue the importance of. Gunn continued, "This movie is about that. It's about the basic kindness of human beings, and that it can be seen as uncool or under siege by some of the darker voices, some of the louder voices." Now, he didn't go into specifics about who these dark voices are, but considering the article began with them saying that Gunn is politicizing Superman, I'm sure you could make an educated guess about what he's talking about here. And hey, maybe that's the part of this that he intends to leave up to interpretation. But because he has come out already and said that this film is basically about human goodness overcoming those dark voices, I have to ask the question, is James Gunn the right person to be deciding what is moral and what isn't?
Absolutely f***ing not.
Due to recent events, it's a little bit difficult for me to take anyone in the entertainment industry seriously when they start lecturing me about morality. In fact, they have demonstrated an inability to look at such things as morality and politics and comment on them in an unbiased manner. It's at the point where modern ideology, when included, actually dominates the films rather than reinforces the ideas in them. And this has been a real problem for a while now, whether people want to admit it or not.
It's true.
And again, the fact that you are revealing all of this now and not allowing your film to speak for itself is a precursor to that. During the Superman event, Gunn also mentioned how he wanted his reboot to keep its distance from some of the themes of the franchise's past iterations, saying, quote, "Previous DC installments have been criticized for flirting with the darker political undertones and fascistic power fantasies." I don't know about anybody else, but as I stated in my previous video on the subject, it actually looks like he's sticking very close to some of the themes of past Superman movies. Now, the journey to get there might be different, and the resolution or culmination might be a little bit more straightforward, but when it comes right down to it, I'm once again getting mixed signals the more James Gunn tries to explain things. Didn't he just say not that long ago that he actually took inspiration from previous versions of the character? Well, this response at the Q&A would seem to contradict that. Stop me if you've heard this before.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Some people may have looked at previous DC movies as some kind of power fantasy, but I never got that. But I actually think that lends itself to exactly what I'm talking about in this video. Maybe the previous iterations were left open to interpretation, and that's why we can have these conversations. James Gunn is removing any possibility for us to theorize or speculate about what this movie will all be about, because he thinks it's more important to debunk things and explain everything. His behavior is removing all of the fun that anyone could possibly have when talking about this movie. And I just don't understand how it benefits anyone.
Will you shut up?
Some would call it being transparent, some would call it being insecure. The word that comes to mind for me every time it happens is once again exhausting. Obviously, I'm open to fresh interpretations and meaningful storytelling that stretches far beyond the usual slop we get with summer blockbusters. I mean, I advocate for that very thing on this channel all the time. But for the love of God, let this movie breathe a little bit before dumping any more information on us. I actually miss the thrill of the unknown when I go to sit down and watch a new movie in the theater. But I guess we won't be getting that with James Gunn's Superman. Once again, I'm open to him including these themes and messages, but the delivery has to be right. Because I think the last thing people want when they watch a Superman movie is a lesson in morality from James Gunn.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.